Did you just tell me you can't hear me?
That's correct. That's right. I mean, what are you trying to tell me?
So it's a problem when we're not paying attention to each other. This is a problem, right?
So you're accusing me of not paying attention to you.
Isn't it? So can't we equate business to relationships? And we need to be active listeners.
Absolutely. I think you hit a discussion, a topic here that needs to be talked about.
That's right. So not just hearing, but listening. Networkers, are you listening? That's what we're going to tackle. This is really important.
Absolutely.
I've got 3 great bullet points from my article, and you've got some awesome action items that we're going to talk about. So stay tuned. This is going to be a great one for you. Network Today, where we take you from meeting people to
making money
faster.
Woo!
And I am all smiles today as we continue to learn about how to be better communicators.
Absolutely.
We were just talking about this. This could be a whole 6-month segment when you start breaking these things down.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you really think about it, networking, we always talk about building relationships, but how do you do that? And listening is, I think, the number one component of this.
If you can't listen, well, and hearing and listening are different, right?
Right.
So we'll talk about being an active listener, because if you're not listening to people, if you're just hearing them,
right,
and you're not really listening, then the likelihood of something coming out of that relationship, or at least that time spent, is what? Nil. It's very little, the likelihood.
But you know what? You've brought up such a great point here, Sheryl, because again, I'm thinking as soon as you said this was going to be the topic, I started thinking about when I'm having a one-on-one with somebody, am I really listening to them, or am I listening to myself first to tell them what I want to talk about?
What's in our head.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So let's start with just generally speaking in relationships. Now, you and I are both married.
Right.
So what's the number one frustration in marriages, just generally speaking? What's the number one?
Is I'm not hearing what the other person's saying.
That's right.
I get accused of that every day. So I'm taking notes on this topic today, so I can be
go back and be better tonight. Me too. So, and we have to understand that people have different cues,
right,
both verbal and nonverbal cues that will tell us whether or not they really want a response. Do they really want you to tune in? Is it really something that they want you to chime in on, right? Provide an answer, a solution to, or do they just need to get it off their chest?
That reminds me of a great Christian book called The 5 Love Languages.
Oh, that is a good one.
So that's exactly, we have to understand who the person is who we're talking to and what's going to be the trigger point here.
Yes, that's right. My husband really needs me to hear him, but he doesn't want me to respond. For me, I don't care if he hears me. I just want him to take the garbage out. So that's my love language. Get that garbage out. So he'll tell you that all day long. I know you find that funny, but not surprising, right? Not surprising. So I want to dive into this article because this is a really great article, and everybody needs to look this up. This is Positive Psychology. And this was from February, I don't want to get off of my place here, February 2022, so February 8th, 2022, How to Practice Active Listening, 16 Examples and Techniques. And I found this a fascinating article, and they really break it down nicely in communication. But they talk about active listening, and there are 3 keys to active listening. So number 1, listen for total meaning. What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, number 1, it's exactly what the point the person is trying to get across. What the subject matter is right now.
Yes, and so what they state here is, don't listen for little items. Try and engage the overall discussion that this person is trying to have.
Kind of like what you're saying there, maybe like big picture.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
big
go.
Picture, the big picture, and don't zero in on just a couple of little items. That could also help with a marriage. Respond to feelings. Just saying. Just saying. Respond to feelings. Are you good at that?
I think I am actually, because again, I put myself of how people respond to me, and and I've got feelings. I think I am an emotional person, so yes, I think that through body language and feelings, it's a very important part of the discussion.
And I agree with that about you. I think you're very empathetic. I'm not as much, so I don't pick up on some of those things. Like I've got an end game. I need to get to the end game.
Right.
And the clock is ticking, people. The clock is ticking.
Right.
So that's a fault of mine. So I'm really working hard on being an active listener. So that's why I'm really, really trying to zero in on these. So what it says here is after listening, in regards to number 2, responding to feelings, after listening, when a response is appropriate, the listener should respond to the feeling of what was said so the speaker feels understood. I think psychologists probably are really good at that, which is why this is in a psychology article. Number 3, note all cues. Now, we were talking about this off camera. So the nonverbal cues like tone of voice, facial expressions, or body expressions and the speed of speech. How do you think? So I think those are easier certainly to gauge in person. But what about online? Like, how do you gauge that stuff online?
Yeah, that's kind of I don't think you can, Cheryl.
You don't?
No, I think, well, it depends how your Zoom call is set up. If you got a lot of people in a Zoom call, and you know the pictures get smaller,
Right.
So therefore, you really can't see the body language and so on. But when you've got only a conference of maybe 2 to 4 people, then yeah, I think you'd be okay from an online point of view. So.
Yeah. I feel like you probably have to be tuned in more in an online session than even in person, because in person it's pretty easy to see where their body what their body language is demonstrating, but online you really have to watch where their eyes tracking,
Right.
where are they going. So I think that's trickier in today's world. I mean, this is 2022 when this article was written, so not too long ago. But I do believe nonverbal cues are really important. And that's why I know you and I prefer, at least that's one of the reasons I like the in-person.
Right.
Because that helps me see, oh my gosh, that person's really fidgety, or they're looking around the room, or they can't seem to look at me. They look over my shoulder.
Right.
Hey, Rob. I like that kind of stuff. Now, you had some interesting research that you found.
Yes. Really, as I was doing my research, my director of marketing was in the room at the same time, G, and he was I was sharing with him the topic of today, and he just lit up right away and said, well, I learned the SLANT method in college. And I said, tell me more. And this is really interesting, Cheryl, because SLANT, and the acronym stands for, S stands for sit up, the L stands for lean forward, the A stands for ask or answer questions, the N, nod your head, and then T, track the speaker or the person in front with their eyes. So a lot of eye contact. And I just said, wow, that hit all points, because it gets you engaged, it gets you actively listening, because again, like I said earlier, I think so many times when the person is talking, we're in our own head more than we are the other person.
Yeah, we're thinking about what we need to say, and when we do that, it means that we think what we have to say is more important than what they have to say, right? Isn't that ultimately what it's saying?
Absolutely. And it also makes me think about, and we did this in an episode a while back, was authenticity. It's one of those buzzwords that gets to be the cool word of the month, and authenticity. But if you're not an active listener, I mean, you can throw authenticity right out the window.
Yeah.
So it really kind of grabbed me.
Yeah, authenticity is demonstrated through active listening. Otherwise, you're faking it.
Yeah.
It's fake authentic. Can you have fake authenticity?
Yeah.
Is that even possible?
I think that's an oxymoron, but yeah, that's
Yes. Well, I know so I'm going to go back to an old adage that I say, probably way too much. People are like, oh, stop it. But interesting people are always more interested in others.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So one of those sales skills, and this absolutely equates to networking all day long because you're selling people on you.
Right.
Right. So consider it a sales schooling, right? A situation in that I'm asking you. So Bruce Pullen and I were just talking about this because he comes from a sales background just like I do. And you find that when you learn to ask those questions and engage that person and really listen to the response and respond appropriately, it might be an hour-long meeting and 57 minutes of it was them
Right.
answering your questions. But they will leave that meeting thinking what?
They had the best conversation ever.
Oh my gosh.
That person
Bill,
was
you're amazing.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to do business with you. You had so many great things to say. So, yeah,
absolutely.
it's kind of funny how we just want to talk about ourselves. I mean, just people in general, but always be the better question asker. And I do, when I talk to the universities, that's really what it's boiling down to now is that conversation piece, because it leads, but you better have a good listening component. So I really want to zero in on that moving forward, especially with MBA students moving into the workplace.
Right.
Because they've been in really a receiving mode, and so now they're going to have to be in that active, I'm going to ask a question, I want to really listen for your response.
Yeah, I mean, I really believe that that's kind of a skill set that we really do have to focus and discipline ourselves on of understanding what active listening really is, because that's the true engagement. Otherwise, again, we're faking it, and we're thinking about ourselves the whole time. But I really like what your idea is saying, that we need to put together like a module on this active listening.
Yeah, absolutely we do. So, and I know we need to wrap this up because I just love this. I mean, there are all sorts of, if you go to the positivepsychology.com and find that article, they have all sorts of links and even tests and little practice sessions that you can do in order to understand. But so they go through, I think it's 7 techniques to train your active listening skills. I'm all about training.
Yes.
I love the training part. So there are ways that you can paraphrase things. I'm not going to go through all 7, but is that one of the things? Have you ever been to marriage counseling?
No.
Oh. Uh-oh. Okay, maybe we could start there. It's just a good, healthy thing to do. We do it through our church, and it's not like, let's sit down and bear all our dirty laundry.
Right.
But it's like just how you can communicate better.
Right.
And one of those is paraphrasing. So if somebody says something to you, then you respond back, this is what I hear you saying, so that you can make sure that you're understanding what it is that they say.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Verbalizing emotions. Hey, I feel your pain. I understand where you're coming from, and mean it.
Right.
Not just throwing words out there.
Right, yeah.
So those are just a couple of the top 2, but he talks about asking and summarizing and clarifying and all of that, which I think is super helpful if we can become like little mini psychologists in our networking world.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that reminds me again of when we are talking with people in our one-on-ones and we have to put on that active listening role, we have to understand too that brings up the difference between communicating with men and women.
Yeah. Yes.
So I think so we have to understand again who we are talking to and how we listen and then answer the questions in the right way. Whether women sometimes don't want you to answer the question, they just want you to listen.
Yeah.
Where men, they want to be the problem solver, they want to actively get involved, where no, the other person doesn't want you to do that. So that becomes an important part.
That's true. And then sometimes the roles reverse.
Yes.
And that I told you my husband is the one who just wants
right.
to vent. He has zero interest in hearing a solution from me.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
Like, didn't want to hear that, Sheryl. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and I think, I'm really liking what you're saying and putting the focus on this because, again, this is really making us, build that relationship better. Yeah. We talk all about building relationships, but how do we do it?
Yeah.
And so understanding being an active listener is going to play a big role in this.
Yeah. So, all right. Pinky swear. We'll be better, right? We'll be better? Yes.
Gonna do better.
That's right. That's right. We'll be better. Okay. So we're so excited to have you be a part of this conversation with us. And I'll tell you, we got something that's coming up.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. Well, we got a couple things going on, but the major thing, August 2nd.
Yeah, August 2nd, Connect Fest. We don't want you to miss that. That is going to be truly like beyond our expectations of an all things networking all day conference. Buy a half day ticket, an all day ticket, and stay along for the Hookie Lao after party, which is going to be
a blast.
It is going to be a blast.
But this is all talking about personal development and how networking plays such a vital role in small business owners, startups, entrepreneurs. That networking is the key to help launch their business, grow their business. And that's what our goal at Connect Fest is all about, is giving you the skills, introducing you to some of the fabulous speakers, the panels that we're having. So much is going on. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I think we've got 14 speakers across the day. It's going to be very interactive. So we want you to join us. So you're going to find everything at networktodaydfw.com, and we expect to see you there. All right, so all the ticket information, all the purchasing information, get your half-day or all-day ticket. And thank you for being here today at Network Today, where we take you from meeting people to
making money
faster. All right, we'll see you next week.